We're all about the Archers. I'm Philippa.
And I'm Lauren.
And we are here to talk to you all about what's happened so far this week. We'll be focusing on the episode Sunday the 13th, Monday the 14th, and tonight, Tuesday the 15th of October. There will be spoilers. You have been warned. Lauren, what did you think of the week? What did you think of tonight's episode?
Well, wonderful news for Fallon. And I wasn't sure it was going to happen for her, so delighted. Don't know what that means for Harrison and his job that he hates, but sure. It means, I don't know what that means, but obviously it's not just going to be her there, so I wonder who she'll take on while she goes there. A prediction of mine sneaking in already is that Kirsty's obviously looking for work, so whether or not she'll be needed at the tea room or if she'll go along to, what are they going to call it even? Something vegan-y.
I need time.
Yeah.
My brain cells aren't. Yes.
But I'm pleased for them. They needed. They needed some good news, didn't they? Well, I don't know how good news it is for Harrison, but Fallon needed some good news, so I'm pleased for that.
What did you think of the way Fallon acted with Clary? Clary, love.
I think Clary's been so lovely this week, and it's been so nice to hear from her. I thought she was a bit cold with her, but maybe that's sort of like keeping things at a distance so that things don't get awkward, but then maybe they were a bit awkward. What did you think?
I was glad Fallon sort of dashed after Clary to stop her and talk to her, because otherwise I'd have been absolutely fuming and there'd be no celebration about let's be vegans. There'd be let's not be vegans. So I was glad about that. But yeah, Clary didn't know. Clary's still Clary. And I just hope that thaws somewhat over the time. I wasn't sure about that. And then the other one tonight was Adam and Chelsea. we had this
chai latte is like my favourite hot drink ever, so that was in my faves for sure. I love a chai latte. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe they could become quite the friendship. She quite likes an alternative friendship, doesn't she, Chelsea? She's friends with Jim already, so she's I feel like they'd sort of warm to each other a bit by the end of it.
I love a chai latte too, but I've never had a proper one that's got frothy milk.
No, I've only ever had it so that it's like a chai tea bag made with milk.
Yes, I think that's how it's, even when you do it from scratch, there's no frothy milk. So
no, and she also said it's just a latte with chai powder in. And I was like, I don't drink coffee and I've had chai lattes. So unless all this time I've been boshing the coffees, I'm sure people in our Facebook group will clear that up for us.
Yes, I'm sure so. So yes, we had redemptions tonight. We had Adam seeming to be difficult and Chelsea not warming to him, and then they made it up because she's such a good trainer, and Fallon and Clary grating, and then Fallon chased after Clary, so that was nice. And as you say, the unit news was good. I mean, when we heard Clary at the beginning of this week, I thought it was just lovely. And as you said, was there anything else in her appearance that was a fave or a flop?
Well, I noticed that I thought the same as somebody had put on the Facebook group, was that how pleased she was when Neil helped her with her shopping bags. And I think it's the same. I can't remember the name of the poster on Facebook, forgive me, but like it's just highlighting sort of Eddie's inadequacies and how much of a toe rag he is, basically, that she was so surprised that Neil would help her with her shopping bags even. But that was a lovely sort of reintroduction of Clary hearing her back and busy and just trying to make everyone friends again. I loved hearing from her.
Yes, I found her discussions with Neil just wonderful. I mean, poor Neil, I'm desperately worried about his health. What do you think?
Well, he said, so when it first happened, he said he felt a bit wobbly, didn't he? He used the term wobbly and said he felt wobbly. And then when she sort of delved in a bit further, he said, oh no, this has happened a few times now. And I just think maybe he's of the generation where he's just not, he doesn't stop. Like, if he's got work to do, he'll just keep on working. And that's why it was quite a nice moment, I thought. And let me tell you, we're not getting many nice moments with Helen in. But there was quite a nice moment when she took him a sandwich and she said, oh, let's stop and let's just have a chat and everything. Like, that was nice. But yeah, I similarly feel quite worried.
Well, normally the BBC like to link things in to events that are happening. So I was having a look. Today is Global Hand Washing Day.
Oh, happy birthday to you.
Tomorrow is National Boss Day. Friday's World Menopause Day.
Ooh, do you think he's going through the menopause?
I don't think so. Sunday, World Osteoporosis Day.
Oh.
But then the end of the month begins Stress Awareness Week.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's blood pressure and stress, and it's not just people like Helen going for therapy. People like Neil should consider it as well. So I hope it's nothing too serious, but
I hope so too, I guess. Yeah.
Any other faves?
Just purely both the C's, a chai latte and Clary being back. Both my faves this week.
I really liked hearing about Kirsty's finances because I knew she owned the house that Helen rents at Beechwood, but I didn't know she'd got a mortgage on it. I thought that had been paid off as part of the divorce settlement. So that was something that I learnt personally this week. And Kirsty thinks, she was surprised she had applied for another mortgage and was surprised that her income from the rewilding wouldn't cover a second mortgage. It's the Ambridge fairy all over again.
Yeah, I do think it's quite refreshing though to hear people speak about their finances and for someone to say, oh, you just think by the time you're a woman in your 40s you'd have all your finances sorted. Like, I think a lot, and whoever she was talking to at the time, was it Helen? Who said, oh, I think everyone feels like you're not alone like that. So that's a refreshing stance to have rather than someone be like, often when you hear about finances on popular culture, it's people at the top end or at the very, very bottom end. So to just be sort of like living your normal life and then thinking, oh, actually, things aren't as sorted as I thought it was. I thought it was refreshing. But I wonder who'll be moving into Helen's house. What will happen with that? Like...
Yeah, well, I mean, the family do have a huge amount of money from when they sold the land for Beechwood.
Yeah.
So she could just buy, she's not short of a bob or two. So this, everyone's the same.
But she was
with
straight
money.
away like, oh, me and the boys will find somewhere else to live. Like, she instantly said that. Like, it wasn't like, oh, me and the boys will look and see if we can buy the place. They were like, oh, we'll find somewhere else to live. But yeah.
Maybe she's got her eye on Willow Farm and wants to kick Kirsty out and move
maybe.
there.
Or Kirsty, because I thought the suggestion was going to be that Kirsty could move in with Helen and the boys, and I thought, good God, no.
Yes, Helen did mention it on a temporary basis, but it's Kirsty's house, so yeah.
As a woman with no children, similar to Kirsty, there is nothing I can think worse of moving into a house with people who've been living together very close, like two young lads and their mum. Oh God, no. Those lives are not going to rub along well together, are they?
And I wasn't very impressed with Helen because Neil turns up and Helen's got her parents taking her kids to school. She's got Kirsty coming to have a nice chat and she sends Neil off to do hard work. I just
potatoes. Busy, hard work, yeah.
Poor Neil. Okay, can we talk about prison people? Because we've heard conversations this week with Helen talking to Neil, as you've mentioned. I did like hearing the rain on the polytunnel. I found that quite
I love that.
soothing. Yeah. Yes, but Helen didn't mention to Neil. She didn't talk about her time when she was remanded in custody and gave birth to Jack in custody. All of that. I had expected her to say, well, once you find your way or you make some friends, just to soothe his troubled mind. But she didn't.
No, and nor did Elizabeth. Elizabeth didn't do much to sort of reassure Will and Ed either. I can understand, well, she says, I can understand what she was saying, me not having any family members in prison, but her saying, continue to live your life here, which is similar to what George was saying when he was going in. He was like, I'm going to need to return. I've got to have something to return to. So I can understand that, but maybe feels a little bit early to be saying that, particularly when we're matching that up with Emma's reaction. Emma's definitely gone past the sort of despair reaction and is now angry. She's angry that she was forced into going to the police. She's angry that this happened. So there's so much anger. So to hear Elizabeth sort of saying, just keep living your life and keep on going well, and you'll be fine in the end. And I guess things were very different. Like, when Freddie was in the Young Offenders Institute, wasn't he? And bit different. So maybe they were asking the wrong person. But what did you think about that chat?
Yes, I mean, for those not watching us on YouTube, I am fuming. My face is filled with fumingness. I am not happy with Elizabeth at all. This going on about how, she can't forgive and all of that. Well, yeah, Freddie got 12 months for supplying drugs. And I listened back to when she first went to visit Freddie. David drove her 4 hours, 20 minutes to get there. Freddie turned up.
She's doing the homework, this girl.
I am research horrors. Freddie had got a black eye and he was in a cell and he couldn't eat in the canteen. He had to eat in his cell and he was eating it. He sort of intimated while on the toilet. And Elizabeth was so furious about this that she wrote to the governor and she could send pocket money for him to use. And yet she didn't have any of that. She was so affected by what happened.
You won't be able to change anything just because your son's in prison now.
The only thing she said was after Will had understandably stormed off, she said to Ed, Will doesn't have Nick to talk to. You need to watch out. But I think really her attitude had led to Will stomping off.
Yeah.
She's not. I hope she doesn't work for the Samaritans secretly, Elizabeth.
No, she's not quite got it, has she?
No. What do you think, Harry Chilcott, knowing that you are a fan of Mr. Chilcott?
Do you think he's going to buy the house?
Do you think he's going to return now? Because it's all good news for him and Alice.
Well, background information on Jack Ashton, if I can give it, who plays Harry Chilcott. He has just finished. I'm gutted I didn't get to see it. I don't live anywhere near Bath, but he was in Little Women, which is another of my faves, and has recently just done his last show in Little Women at the theatre in Bath. And so he's available, as far as I can tell. So do you think we've seen the end of him?
I'd like to hear him back. I think that would be an interesting one to hear the reaction to him coming back and people saying, oh, it's not right for him and Alice. They might lead each other astray, but it'd be nice to have him.
I'd find it nice. I'd find it nice. I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, who knows? Who knows? But that's my background Jack Ashton info.
And thank you for that. What do you think? What is your view on green glitter on icing?
As long as it's edible, we'll do it. David and I are quite into Strictly Come Dancing here in this house, and often around that time we make sort of glittery desserts and cookies and stuff, and there's quite a lot of silver edible glitter going on stuff. So I'll eat it as long as it's there. But there was quite a lot of food this week, wasn't there?
There was, yes. Shall I whip through it quickly?
I've got my pen out ready to tick.
We had casserole, apple cake, toasted bagel with butter or jam and cream cheese, potatoes, alternative roast goat, Helen's sandwich for Neil, didn't know what was in it, bound to be cheese, cream, dessert, savouries, Fallon's special cake.
I've got a few more here. This is quite vague. Freezer stuff. But they were sorting out freezer stuff. Breakfast mentioned as a general. Apple mentioned as a general. Veg as in veg boxes. Fish and chips. That's what they were having for tea tonight. And cake. I mean, cake is always mentioned.
I'm ashamed of myself. I will put myself in the naughty corner.
Don't be ashamed of yourself. Don't.
Now, we're about to come on to Star of the Week. Before I do that, can I just say, if you are listening, please could you click follow on your podcast player? Would be very grateful. And subscribe if you're on YouTube. Lauren, who is your Star of the Week?
Well, I had two candidates, and I'm thinking that you're probably going to go for the one of them, and I want both of these people to be Star of the Week. So I'm going to go for Kirsty with predictions of who you might be going for. I thought Kirsty was sort of quite helpful along the way. She sort of egged Clary on to go in and see Fallon and sort of said, oh, let's go in together. And I thought that was quite nice. Nice to hear back from Kirsty. I find Kirsty's voice very, very calming. When she's on, I often find I'm quite calmed by her. And also, obviously, helping out with Helen. And anyone who's best friends with Helen deserves Star of the Week every week, surely.
Oh, that's excellent.
No,
yeah, my Star
fingers
of the Week
crossed for who yours. Good. You're going to say?
Yeah. Clary.
Yay!
Yeah, kind, compassionate, caring Clary. Oh, I should just mention a YouTube channel called Art of Law, who has been featuring the case of George Grundy and the view on whether the sentence was correct. Very, very helpful indeed. And mentioned that George would also be banned from driving for around about 3 years and would have to do a retest, an extended retest and a theory test. And his view was that there was no basis of an appeal because George might end up with a longer sentence. So do go and have a look at Art of Law on YouTube. Predictions.
Well, I've basically touched on all of mine here, Philippa, but I'm concerned about Neil's health. I feel like that's gonna sort of take a bad turn. I feel. I'm wondering who might move into Helen's house, if Helen's going to buy the house that she's in. And I think Kirsty will end up either working at the tea room or at Fallon's new digs. What about you?
I had that Tony will hear that Pat wants to take the kids to the Grundy Apple Day and forbids her. Lillian reacts to Grundy Apple Day by handcuffing herself to the fence and barricading anyone from going in.
Yeah.
And this will be controversial, that there's a knock at Alice's door and it's the police arresting her for being in the car drunk.
Oh,
bit of controversy there.
You've still been thinking about it then, have you? You've still been thinking about it.
I have. Now, there will be no interview this weekend, but there is a Patreon event this Friday, our Autumn Live. You've still got time to join us. You go to patreon.com and look for All About the Archers. There's a link in the show notes. There's still time. All four of us will be there. And we've got a prison officer coming on. He's got 20 years experience and he's currently working in a prison where they have, it's an adult prison, but they have a young offenders wing with about 140 young offenders on it. So crikey, we've got questions aplenty for him.
Plenty.
So we'd love you to join us on that. But we understand Patreon is a regular commitment, and you can buy us a coffee instead if you'd rather do something on a one-off
or
basis.
A chai latte.
Again. Yes, with frothy milk or not. I'll be back. We'll be back next Tuesday, all four of us, for more of our midweek madness. Until then, it's a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Bye-bye, everyone.